94.3 WYBC, the rhythm of the city and home of the Juan Castillo Morning Show. Good morning, New Haven. This is the Electric Drum. And of course, I am not Yusef Shaw. I'm filling in for Yusef Shaw. This is Jay Kemp from Moving Target. And with me is my guest co-host, consistent guest co-host, Grace the Stallion.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Back again.
Back again. I know we got a lot of listeners that probably don't listen in the first hour. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they probably don't know exactly, well, who is Grace the Stallion? And is there a relation to Megan the Stallion?
Heck no.
You want to let that be clear.
Yeah, I'm the original Grace the Stallion. That heifer stole my name. No, seriously, Grace the Stallion, guys, fashion designer and radio personality for many, many years. Before Megan could even spell Stallion, I was Grace the Stallion. So now I am the
stop
original.
Hating on Megan.
I'm not hating, I'm just making it clear because I get a lot of feedback like, oh, you must like Megan. You got her name. No. She has my name, so please get
That's what I tell people about, like, with Common. I say, you look like Common. I'm like, Common looks like me.
I'm older, right? Exactly. So, no, definitely I am the original Grace the Stallion. I was using that name before anybody was. I had to always defend the name because it really means a male horse. And people are like, oh, you know what that means? I know what it means. But obviously, that's not what I'm referring to. I mean, we call girls all kinds of names. That's not what they really are.
Right.
So it's just the attributes of the horse. It's a beautiful, well-built, strong, rare species, and that's what I am. So
I got confused one time because I was in Atlanta. I think I was in Buckhead, and this was years ago. And I'm like, yeah, man, some stallions out here. And the dude looked at me kind of crazy and was like, stallions, like that's referring to big dudes.
And a brick house is a house made out of brick, which I call women that. I mean,
well, brick house was always associated with women, but stallion,
what it really is, I mean,
stallion, from what I was told years ago when I was in Atlanta, is that's referring to dudes.
A stallion technically is a male horse, but that is not what we're talking about. We take words all the time and change the meaning. So, I mean, it's no different than any other word that we change the meaning for.
No doubt.
So I don't want people to make a big deal out of it.
All right. Well, you're the original Stallion. So it's good to have you
and
here.
I'm not a man.
So welcome everyone to the next hour right here. Last hour we talked about reparations, but not necessarily what reparations looks like, but how is reparations causing division amongst black people, specifically through black identity. Right. And today we're also going to have a great conversation. But before we get to that, I want to just give some information out there. I work with young people at Wexler Grant Elementary School. One thing that I have witnessed at Wexler Grant Elementary School is this unity of black men more than I've ever seen in any school that I've worked at.
Nice.
There's always like 3 or 4, but here there's like 11 of us, 12 of us, and we are all from different walks of life. We have our different methods. We come together, and we are all about these children.
Yes.
Specifically the black boys, the ones that are always considered the problem kids and the ones getting in school suspension. So we started a club where we, a gentleman's club where we teach them life lessons and life skills. But along with that, I wanted to, we wanted to do a day of service where they could serve the community. And when I was asking them if they ever wore suits, some of them never wore a suit before.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
And so we were like, yo, why don't we get them suits? Let's get them in some sharp suits. Let's get them out there in the community serving. Let's take them out this element that we normally see in school, right?
Right.
So we started a GoFundMe called Kings in Suits. And the whole goal is to raise $1,500 that will cover the shoes, the socks, the suits, and all that. And hopefully in March, I believe in March, we're going to have a great event where these young brothers can really, come out. We can all dress up in suits. They're going to come with us. They're going to be up in suits, and we're going to go out in the community. Because you feel good. We got brothers on the show today. So y'all know you feel good when you put on a suit. You know what I mean? You feel good, you think good. And for these young brothers who've never wore a suit before, we want to make that happen. So if you want to donate to this cause, go to GoFundMe and put in Kings in Suits. All right, Kings in Suits on the GoFundMe. And we're also going to put it on the Facebook page for Moving Target. Make sure you go donate $5, $10. At first they told us, well, why don't we just do shirts and ties? I was like, nah. We need some suits.
Absolutely.
And numbers,
what?
Power in
so let's do it. All right. So go to GoFundMe, go to Kings in Suits, and please donate. All right.
Yes.
Really appreciate that. All right. So we are going to move forward with this conversation. We have some really great guests here, and before we do, I want to give context to how we came here. So on December 30th, there was a gunman who opened fire in the West Freeway Church of Christ. All right. This year has been the worst on record for mass killings. All right. So I'm getting this from the Los Angeles Times, with more than 40 attacks in which 4 or more people were killed. That's what happened all this year in 2019. All right, this has also been one of the worst years in recent history for attacks on religious groups or places of worship. On Sunday, shooting at church in White Settlement, Texas, left 2 dead, 1 critically wounded. This also follows a mass stabbing that injured at least 5 people at a rabbi's house in New York State Saturday, and a mass shooting at a kosher grocery store in Jersey City earlier this month, which killed 3. Okay, so, and we could go on. The list goes on how many attacks we are seeing in religious and worship spaces. All right, and I don't know if there's a connection here. I don't know if my opinion on this country or people becoming more spiritual, you know what I mean, and kind of going away from the concept of God. I don't know about God, but I'm spiritual. I feel like there's more and more of that happening. Yep. More people who are claiming atheism and or just agnostic, and I feel that's happening more and more. But at the same time, we're seeing more attacks on religious and worship spaces. So is that because we're becoming a godless nation? Is that kind of where America's usually known as a Christian nation? But are we actually becoming more godless? Was taking God out of the schools another step towards us getting to a place where we could be so insensitive to places of worship? So now to talk about this, we have Imam Hassan, Saladin Hassan.
Yes, sir. Big
What's
brother.
going on,
How
good
you
brother?
feeling, sir?
Thank
Yes,
you for coming through.
Absolutely.
And we have Pastor Lewis. What's going on, bro?
How you doing, good brother? Good to see you again.
Really grateful for y'all to be here, and Happy New Year to y'all.
Same.
Happy New Year to
Happy
everybody.
New Year,
Yes,
yes.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Of course,
family.
if Rem was here, he would say the springtime. That's the real calendar.
Right.
You know what I mean? So resolutions don't happen till then. Like, man, you better make that happen right now.
Yes.
But yeah, let's unpack this though. So
Right.
Pastor Lewis, I'm gonna start with you. You know, this is known. America is known as a Christian nation, yet these attacks are happening. And not to say that all these attacks are Christian. However, you would think there would be more sensitivity towards places of worship in a nation that values religion, quote unquote, the way they do. So what do you think is happening here? What do you think is behind this?
Well, first of all, let me just say peace to my brothers and sisters out there. Assalamu alaikum to my Muslim brothers.
Alaikum assalam. Yes.
Brother. And but let me just say this too. When you say that is this becoming a godless nation, or you would think that there would be more practice, or people would be more conscious. This just because you identify yourself as being a God nation doesn't mean you practice it. The principles that embody what a God nation would look like, and so you have the name, or you tagged it, or you utilize it for your own purposes, because the fruit is bearing fruit right now. Whatever you say that you deem, or that you say that you believe in, it's bearing fruit. And if the fruit don't look like what you say that you follow, you believe in, then that's questionable. Are you really practicing that? And that's what I see at the underlining all of this, brother. Again, you mentioned something about spirituality. So you can believe in God but don't be spiritual. Spirituality has everything to do with the activity and what you do expressively.
Can you believe in spirituality but not God? Speak into the mic a little bit. Yeah.
Can you believe in spirituality? Spirituality is not something that you just believe, you practice. Because remember, you're talking about spirituality. It is a practice.
Well, can you practice spirituality but not believe in God?
Well, again, it's your definition of God. And what are people's definition of God? Because that word God is a German word.
Right.
And it just means supreme being. Or, what is it that you deem as God? I mean, in the Bible, it has the big G and has the little g. So what is your God? A God is something that you hold supreme or greater. So again, that can go many different ways. But when you talk about spirituality, in my Bible, the Bible said God is a spirit, meaning to me it's expressive. It has it has fruit to it. It is something that we live and move by. It's something that we allow others to benefit from. If I say I'm a spiritual person, I'm a God-fearing person, so to speak, you should see some evidence from that because of the spirit that I say that I govern my life by. There should be evidence.
Right.
The Bible also says God is love, and love is God. Love is expressional. Love has expression to it. So again, as the nation holds itself as a God-fearing nation, doesn't mean that it practices it. And so there's undercurrents that are, again, it's not an attack on the preachers sometimes. It's an attack on an individual sometimes. Maybe somebody offended somebody, or there's no fear of God anymore, so to speak. So now you just come into these places of worship. Before, years ago, people feared God. There was the fear. There was the teaching to fear God. So people did not do what they wanted to do because they feared God. But what happens when the fear is gone? That when fear is not there, brother, I mean, again, that's like the police being around.
So Hassan, that's a really good point. So maybe it's not becoming a godless nation. Are we losing the fear and the reverence towards God and towards that space?
First, I would like to as well, say good morning to everybody. You know what I mean? Again, give the salams and the peace, God's peace upon the people, all spiritual, God-fearing people, peace upon the nations, the waters. But I would agree with Brother Lewis 100% in the sense that spirituality is what has been taken away from us and been given to us, this God thing, right? Now we use God again because it's a common term that we can all relate to. But the spiritual essence is what connects us all as one, right? As when we're born, coming out as babies, we're all connected spiritually. We don't see no differences in us. We don't see colors, ethics, race, don't care who you believe in, don't believe in. That's all an innate nature placed in us by our Creator. So that's what we all connect to. For us to refer to this as a Christian nation, that's the first main problem, because there's no Christian values in it. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful to people in this government and how we all, love this country. But when you look at the values in it and what it was birthed on and what's going on right now by our overseers in this nation, where are our Christian values? Where is Jesus? May God be pleased with him in the White House right now, right? If we're just going to be honest about it. So we have been given this God, and the word God is so watered down. It can refer to anything and anybody. We're calling ourselves gods. It's just so much going on. There's no value in it. We have to all connect with each other spiritually, which our babies do. And then that's that love and that peace and that genuine connect with one another.
Right. So in this article in Los Angeles Times, they went through the database looking at all the shootings that took place. And they said that all 11 perpetrators in the shootings at places of worship in their database were men, and 3/4 were white. Worship mass shooters were either in their early 20s or early 40s. 64% were single and unemployed. So do you think that religious institutions, mosques, churches, are focusing on making sure that the people that attend their church, the people in their community, are employed, are taken care of, are do you believe that there's any push towards that, or is it just, let's just push this message of what the Quran or the Bible speaks?
This is the problem. No, I'm sorry, brother, Pastor Lewis, but this is what one of the main problems is in our spiritual sanctuaries. The people who are the so-called leaders, right, of those sanctuaries have taken ownership of them. And when you take ownership of them, you're taking the house of worship from the people. So it's like mine. And then I start believing I can assign who I want to be in certain positions. and we're taking the power away from the spirituality of the people, meaning we share this burden in a whole. Our creator, this is our house. We pay the mortgage or the rent. We pay for these lights. We pay for the XYZ. We pay to uphold the creator's house. So how do we, because I feel like it's personally mine as the imam, now I think I can tell people who's doing what, who's not going to sit where, who's going to be where, and then it starts relaxing everybody else and putting everybody else in a situation where we're all not together, we're not one, so only specific people have a responsibility.
And then you're not really, as the imam, you're not connected to what's going on with your people.
Not at all.
So if somebody's dealing with unemployment,
right,
they're stressed out,
right,
you know, you won't know because you're just focused on making sure your building is thriving.
There you go.
Right.
I have enough people in the pews or on the floor, the carpet or however you want to look at it, because it's mine.
Right.
That's a sick mentality.
And there's more of a political sway here. Okay, let's be real about it. When you talk about empowering the people, in the Bible it says that all the people came and brought all their wealth at the feet of the apostles, and no one went without lack. That means that all the leadership got together and took care of the community. The Bible says, forsake not the fellowship of the brethren. So meaning that our Sunday morning worship should be empowerment session, so that people will be deployed to go out and encourage other people to have a personal relationship with God, with their Creator. That they would be empowered, that they would be able to, no matter what circumstances that they may face. It's about getting people to a private relationship, that they can be at home, that they can be walking down the street, that before they go into their job, before they go to try to get a job, before they go to apply for this, that they really can be empowered to do such. Yeah. It's not about you coming to me every Sunday and I'm going to give you the blueprint for your life. It's about us being able to come to fellowship, and that we come to a point of agreement and being able to deploy you out to now make a difference in the community. So the problem is, it's not the fact that, I don't think that the institutions or the church or the mosque should be responsible to get people employed. I think they're responsible to empower the people to be able to go on their pilgrimage, to have a personal relationship with God or with the Creator or whatever again, I call him Father. I'm a follower of Christ, again, according to the Word of God. But again, not being disrespectful to no one else. Right. However, whatever way that works for you, if I say that I am a believer in God, if I'm a follower of Christ, I should not be intimidated by no one else, number one, and I should be able to find value, that we're on the same path, going in the same direction. What do we have in common opposed to what separates us? Right. I'm secure.
So I always looked at the church and even the mosque, especially, both church and the mosque, as cornerstones for a lot of political movements, a lot of things that are going on in the community. If you were unemployed, it wasn't just we're giving you a good message, but we are working at making sure you get your opportunities for employment.
Absolutely.
But I really don't see that happening now.
Well, again, I think that's because we don't feel responsible in a sense. You know what I mean? Now, I agree. The message should be to educate those to be able to use their own logic, their own wisdom, right? Using the same material that I have as I'm guiding and teaching. You got the same material, so I'm guiding you to it, right? But if we're using our resources, and we are, to keep these houses open, then the houses should feel some responsibility. And if we do have a parishioner in trouble, we should feel some responsibility in sitting down and guiding and helping. And if we can give. That's where that finance is supposed to be used, to help build the people, to help keep this thing going.
And training them. And being able to train, to make it a wellness center, to make it something that's able to help transform them, not just to hear me preach, not to come and hear me say something. That after Sunday, we have all week to help develop people, to do some kind of, help them fill out resumes. Matter of fact, let's come together. You got 50 churches or whatever within the Dixmoor area. You got mosques that are there. Why can't we come together as a community? It's a 911 call. Come together and let's now start to transform our community and get fathers brothers, young men, young women prepared to be successful in life. That's kingdom. That's real. That's doing the work.
Absolutely, and that will protect us from what we see happening in society, in this this takeover of this American culture. You know, sad as we want to say it and play with it, just look at our history. It's a culture that, and Malcolm X, may God be pleased with him, have mercy on him, got in trouble to say it. But the chickens have come home to roost. The chickens have come home to roost. It's a situation where this is the culture of it. This is what it's been. This is how ugly it is. And now it's just attacking everybody.
Right.
Now nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe.
There you
Even
go.
if you're in your religious space.
There you go.
Something else that they said was that worship mass shooters were in crisis prior to the shooting 82% of the time. So they were already having some serious things going on within themselves prior to them opening fire. And 64% of them were suicidal. Some 73% of perpetrators had histories of mental illness. So it's that 73% histories of mental illness. 64% of them suicidal, and 82% had histories of substance abuse. So again, it comes down to how much work is being done within these sanctuaries that are on making sure that the people are taken care of, even in this way of mental health. Because a lot of times we hear mental health, we like just go get Jesus. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not thinking about a therapist. So do you feel like this is now something that churches and mosques need to start focusing on? Let's get some therapists in here. Let's make sure the mental well-being is just as much as the spiritual, or do you kind of put it all in one?
No, I think it's a balance of both. Our prophet, may God be pleased with him, Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of God be upon him, said, if you get sick, go to a doctor, take medication. You're not gonna just pray, you know what I mean? But you're gonna do something to take care of that illness. The problem is we have to look at the statistics of the people that they are saying have these mental illnesses. See, I think they're giving us a description to hide what's really going on, right? Back in the Emmett Till days, may God be pleased with him, back in the Emmett Till days, they were able to do that, have their little fake trial, and go home. Today, we have to create an atmosphere that looks like we're going to hold you accountable for your behavior, but if we call it mental illness, you still get to go home eventually. You see what I'm saying? So I don't believe in these cases as mental illnesses. It's a way not to call it terrorism. It's like domestic terrorism, but it's a way to disguise it, not call it. I'm not saying in all cases, but definitely these cases where it's our light-skinned brothers that are committing these crimes.
So you say that the light-skinned brothers? I'm not committing no crime, bro.
Well, they are brothers. They are lighter-skinned brothers.
You said lighter. You be clear people, white people.
I try not to see color. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why clear.
That's kind of true. When it's white people, it's mental illness.
Yeah, light skin.
We're savages. So he's got a point there. Yeah. But like you were saying, I think the churches do need to cater more to people's needs.
Absolutely.
They do go in there and preach, and they collect their whatever, and they go home. Nobody is really trying to sit down one-on-one with their congregation, find out what's going on in their lives. Some people do have mental illness. Some people are suicidal. But the church doesn't know that.
Well,
a lot of people don't come forward, and they're not getting fed at church. So they're harboring that anger because they can't go anywhere. So church is like their outlet, and they're not getting it there either. So they're lashing out.
Yeah.
Let's say religious organizations, because I don't want to single out the church. We're talking about religious organizations, the mosque, the church, and also the temple. Okay. No, and I'm just saying.
No, I agree.
And the other part of this too, we must choose our fight wisely. Let us not be herded as cattle into a fight. You know, they always said, you don't just rush into a fight. You understand what you get ready to get yourself and what happened. We're allowing them, the media and all of them, to now make this an act of terrorism, that going in and shooting in the churches. No, there are people, number one, that don't fear God. The other issues are they go way back. You bringing the East over here to the land in America. The battle that's happening over there with the Jews and with Islam is now attempting to come here as a battle that we had, or an argument or something that we are engaged in, and that's not. They've been battling that for years.
Right.
So is it the fact that they're really going in trying to kill the imam, or trying to go in there and kill the rabbi, or is there some kind of mental illness, or is there just a lengthy unresolved conflict that says that we're tired of it. We're tired of you people, whoever they might be, light-skinned, white, or Jews, or whatever Christian, whatever. But no, but
I know we emotional, but we ain't shooting up nobody.
Right, no, but my point is that we must be wise in where we go to assist other people in their conflict. We cannot just rush into something. Get your information together and understand that we got to go in there wisely, because now what they're trying to do is trying to make it a war against, with Islam and the Jews, and then now the Christians are getting involved with it, and America is considered a Christian nation, so now the Islam is upset at
But and I agree with you, brother. But America has always perpetuated that. That didn't come from the East. Unfortunately, America has always perpetuated division to stay in control. Our government has always perpetuated, and that's why we don't have no togetherness. The Muslim doesn't like the Christian. Here, this goes back way back here. The Muslims don't like the Christians. The so-called white don't like the so-called black. The Hispanics don't like. This is what this country created here for the division purposes and the power purposes and the control purposes. And I know we're better than that. We the people, right? I know we're better than that. But we have to be honest about it and call it out as it is here, as it's our problem here. Stop letting them take our European terrorists to Burger King after they commit their terror on our people,
which really
right? And then if you're African American, you're brown skinned, and you're committing some of these same crimes, and definitely not on that level. Yes, you're an animal, you're a savage. You could have been innocent, proven innocent, and you can't even get an apology. You could have been proven innocent, spent years in prison, you can't even get an apology. So we got to be honest. We got to look at our young brother Trayvon Martin. May God have mercy on him, forgive him anything that he may have done, and reward him the highest place in paradise. Trayvon Martin could have been any one of our sons. I don't care what color you are, trying to get back home to watch a basketball game, and was murdered and couldn't get no justice for it. His only crime, I don't care what he did prior to that, his only crime was trying to get home to watch a basketball game. That has nothing to do with the Middle East. That has to do with our people here in America, the powers that be, not white, black, the powers that be, not valuing the brown-skinned people here in our work. And it's always been like that.
And again, I'd like to be clear. This is, even in our service on Sunday, or this past week, we said we want to be clear, make sure our conversations are clear, and clear about what we're talking. So I wasn't saying that the East brought that over here. What I'm saying, there's been conflict all along, and let us not go try to rush into this battle. We'll get on board. We're like cattle, especially our people. They're so quick to jump on board, and if you're a Christian, you ready to go against your Muslim brother, even though he didn't do nothing to you. So absolutely. All I'm saying to it, as followers and as us who are so-called believers, and who are supposed to have a better conduct of character, and find ways to navigate through our differences, that we will be able to come together and stand together, unified together, to come against those that are attempting to continue on to keep us divided.
Absolutely.
It is when the religion, we are supposed to be the moral fiber of our community. And when we have lost the ability to influence those that come to our sanctuaries or our mosques or our temples, to help them go out and conduct their lives in a better fashion, then I'm questionable about what our motives are and what we are teaching, or what we are giving them.
So along with some of these issues that they're finding of what these shooters are, whether it's mental illness, whether it's being unemployed and dealing with domestic issues, my question is, how come these deacons aren't packing?
Stop it.
No, I'm dead serious.
So why?
Wait, no, that's right. No,
they are.
Seriously.
That's who took that. That's who killed the assailant. That came in there. There were deacons in that church, that West Church.
Okay.
It was deacons that were there. They were armed. The Texans was armed with weapons that took that young man out.
Okay, is this the future of where we're going with these religious sanctuaries?
That's not right. Why do we have to have guns in church. It used to be a time when people
right.
didn't come to church. They didn't curse on Sundays. They respected that place of worship. On Sunday you didn't do anything. Why? Because you had respect for it. Why you have to bring in guns? It's the same thing with the schools. The teachers got a pack now. That's the world we're living in now. Why?
They listen, the thing of it, like I said earlier, if the fear, and first of all, I don't condone, I don't want to have nothing to do with, as far as weapons, but I don't condemn those that do. That's your choice. However, when there is no fear, the reason, but see, the problem was we taught people fear of God, but not love of God. Or love of the Creator. See, you taught them the fear. If you do this, you're gonna go to hell. If you don't do this, you're gonna. But then after the fear is gone, and I'm able to do, because there was restraints that kept you in place. And now on social media and all of this other stuff, you're able to do whatever you want. So why not go into the temple? Why not go into the church and do whatever I want? Why not disrespect those that call themselves believers? So what I'm saying, we have to step back and do an analysis on where we need to reroute now and go in the direction that we're supposed to go in, because people are looking for those that have integrity. The church, the mosque, I'm not all of them, but some of them have lost the integrity and respect of the people because of what the people are bearing witness to.
Go ahead,
yes,
Hassan.
Because two things. Because we were talking about the weapons, right? This brother I know wrote an excellent play some years back. I think it was called Malcolm X and Jesus and the Fish. And one of the lines in that play, the brother said that, yeah, come on now. He said, that was our brother Scholar, right? But he said that Jesus and his companions carried swords. And he said he didn't carry them to open the mail, was one of the lines. They didn't carry them to open the mail. They carried swords because swords was the weapon that they were being assaulted with. Muhammad the Prophet, may peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, and his companions, they carried swords because swords were the weapon that they were fighting with back in those days. Let's speed it up to where we are today. It is unfortunate that these weapons are so widespread. And again, we got to be honest and say it's a culture in America. It's not new. They was blowing up for African-American, beautiful African-American girls lost their life. And so it's not new, it's just that now it's more televised. We are silly for us not to say that these are the weapons that are designed against us, and our Creator gives us the exact same right to defend ourselves. So if we got to use these same weapons to defend ourselves that they have, we would be unintelligent not to. So if you have people in your community who have pistol permits, and so you should form gun clubs where you're training and you're shooting properly and the whole nine, this, that, and the third, and sit and pray and worship peacefully. But what happens when these fools, which they're doing, rush into your houses of worship?
Well, let me ask you this.
Well, I just want to.
Can I ask a question?
Can I finish with this? Let me just finish with this before you ask that.
I need to ask this question.
Let him finish up and then pass a little.
We know that there's that saying that says if guns were outlawed, right? We outlaw them in houses of worship. If guns were outlawed, then only outlaws would have them. Somebody who wants to do you harm is not going to read a sign on your wall that says no weapons allowed and say, oh, I can't go in there. No, they're going to say, good, nobody in there has a weapon. And they're going to come do what they need to do.
So again, to everyone is given a measure of faith. Like so if you only got that much faith and you feel you got to utilize your human ability to do whatever you do, that's cool. Like going to a doctor. Some people don't go to doctors and yet they have not had sicknesses. And when they do get sicknesses, their sicknesses are gone and it's taken away by not even touching no medicine.
Right.
So I hear you. However, where do we stand at when we say, first of all, if we really believe in this God that created, or this creator that created everything.
Yes.
The sun, the moon, the stars, and yet we can't get to the essence of that creator, but now we're going to depend on weapons that those are using against us in order for us to justify, in order for us to now outdo them. Not outdo. Or to whoop or to beat them. We're really going to result to that.
That's what you're saying.
So why should we worship, or why should we even believe in a God that created
Absolutely.
everything?
Listen to the logic. Listen to the wisdom, right? Because I agree with them 100%. We're taught, again, in Islam, you put your faith in Allah, you put your faith in God, but you tie your camel, right? If I was to go outside right now, could I get in your car, or is it locked?
If what?
If I was to go outside right now, could I just go jump in your cars and lock?
I lock my car, but sometimes I don't.
No, hold on. This is the reality. Wait, let me answer.
Hold on.
Yes,
Let
you
me really answer the
Yes,
power.
you could.
Not right now. You said you locked it.
No, but I forgot to lock it.
Okay,
You
so
can
you
go
forgot
get
to lock it.
Alright,
So
just so
here it is.
y'all know, we are parked at the.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, that's
No.
what happens. We lock our cars. We lock our house doors. We put our faith in God, but we protect ourselves. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is not to outdo anybody, but God gives you the right to defend yourselves. Why did Jesus, may God be pleased with him, and his companions, or maybe we'll say he didn't, but his companions did, why did they carry swords? Because the enemies had swords. The Muhammad the Prophet, may God be pleased with him, Musa alayhi salam, all of them carried the weapons that were formed against them. They had the weapons, the same weapons, because that was the time to defend themselves. So we're not trying to outdo nobody. What we're saying is we are going to protect our houses of worship, which we all have the right to do. We pray, but people are being murdered praying. People
Okay.
getting
So hold
murdered.
up, Pastor Lewis. Let me just.
Okay, wait a minute, because I just
Hold
did,
on.
because when Peter cut his ear off, Jesus rebuked him
Yes.
because he used the sword.
No.
But
No.
there's a time, wait a minute.
Pastor
But
Lewis, hold on 1 second. Just hold on. Give me 1 second. And it's funny that you brought that up because I remember that line. I was actually going to bring that up. You know what I mean, so for y'all don't know, when we did Malcolm X and Jesus Eat Fish, I played Jesus, you played Malcolm,
yes.
right? But one of the things of why I did write that was because, you know, the Bible doesn't say everything specifically. So the fact that they carried swords, right? It doesn't say exactly why Jesus was okay with that. Jesus never said, you know, he said pick up your sword. He told him to pick him up, right? And even in the Bible, when he rebuked him, he didn't rebuke him for the sword. He rebuked him for the intention and for how he reacted, because this is part of the process. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of off subject, but on subject. There's a show on Netflix called The Messiah. If y'all haven't checked it out, it's amazing. The one thing about that show, it's almost talking about Jesus in modern time. And if you look at it, there was nothing that happens with this dude who's supposed to be the Messiah that isn't explainable. It's all explainable. So when he's on the plane and the feds are sitting there saying, we want him down off the plane, but there just happens to be a storm where it forces the plane to land. That's explainable, but we know that was God. So even in this situation, when it comes to having guns, it's explainable of why there would be guns in the church and why deacons and whoever's there is there to hold guard to protect the church. It's explainable because of all these things that are going on. Now, would it happen where they don't have to pull their guns? Somebody tries to come in the church and somehow the gun jams? That could happen too. But where is it not? Where is it against God that somebody in the church?
We're not talking about against. What we're saying.
Okay, so why is it not? Why is it not of God then in any way?
So what I'm saying,
to be protecting yourself.
This is what you got law enforcement for. Number one. This is wait a minute, hold on, brother. Or security. Okay. Let's say security.
In the church though,
the outside or whatever, you got security, all right?
Right.
And if, like I said, I'm not against someone that wants to carry a weapon. I personally myself choose not to, because guns bring guns, number one. And so all I'm saying is that guns bring guns, bruh. If I know that you got somebody that's in there that's carrying, and I'm coming in with that thing to do what I need to do. All I'm saying to you is this: we are losing the strength and the faith that we should have to stand on the moral truth and who we believe in, and practicing it. And really, we should be getting rid of and standing against all of these weapons that are being brought. All this stuff that's coming about right now.
So, Pastor, let me ask you: do you believe then that if there's a church you go to where the mothers, the deacons, everybody has this understanding of protecting themselves, some type of self-defense? Maybe the deacons have guns. Maybe a lot of other people have been practicing because somebody else in the church can teach them martial arts in some way.
Exactly.
All right. So do you believe that creating a congregation or the people in a way, or cultivating their spirituality, but also cultivating their self-defense skills?
Self-defense. I have no problem with that.
But including guns.
You
feel like
that a gun. If I'm a martial artist, and I rather everyone come in here unarmed, because now I have the advantage in the skill that I have. Once you bring a gun into a situation, brother, or you bring a weapon into there, that changes the whole game.
We're gonna take a phone call real quick. We only have a few minutes left, but I
gotta touch that though.
So don't lose that thought, Hassan.
Yes,
we're gonna go to this phone call.
Yes, sir.
94.3. Hi. The mass shootings. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So I'm sorry. Cause I'm sorry. We only have a few minutes left. I just wanted to see. Do you agree though that that there should be more self-defense put in place because of the mass shootings that have been taking place in America? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your call. Appreciate you. Enjoy your day. So go ahead, Hassan. I know you want to touch on
Yes, sir. One, law enforcement comes after the deed has already been done.
Take away law enforcement. We said security, so let's stay with that.
Okay.
So now security. So now we're still on the same page again. I mean, security is in the church, and they're part of the people in their guard in the church, right? Now, I too would rather that there's no weapons. I'd rather that. But that means I'm saying the enemy can't have weapons either. If you come to fight me, back in the day we used to do that. Everybody hands up. You ain't got nothing. I don't got nothing. And we go at it. That was good to go. But if you came with a gun, I'm not gonna run at you. You got a gun in your hand, right? I need something to be able to defend myself too. So in our houses, we should be able to defend ourselves. Guns bring guns. We can go back and look at the videotape. See the mosque shooting? Nobody in there able to defend the mosque. They're running, they're praying.
All the shootings slaughtered. I just mentioned.
Right.
Nobody had guns inside those churches or mosques.
There you go. And
that Texas church,
they
had
exactly.
That one. Do you see how many?
But that's what happened. No, hold up, brother, real quick. I'm sorry, but you're right. And the one that did, the brother was only able to hurt one person, and they were able to take out the one with the.
So let me ask you this.
They didn't have less faith.
So let me ask you this. Now, what I do agree on is this one thing. So the problem is access into the church or the mosque, correct?
Yes.
So I agree that we should have parameters, sir, outside of the buildings, so that people can't come in with weapons. So now, if you want to put security outside with a gun, that's on you.
So
but what's inside the building? No,
so let me answer this. So how do we? So the only reason I don't agree with that because we know that God's whole earth is a worship ground. So I don't believe in dressing one way in the church and dressing another way outside or the masjid, whatever.
We're talking about inside the places of worship.
Absolutely, that's your places of worship.
That you come inside of a building.
So if you're saying to get into Pastor Lewis's church, people are going to be searched before they go in, I'd agree with you 100%. And that's what you're doing. You're going to be searching them. That's the whole Nation of Islam stuff. They do that to this day. They search everybody. So probably none of them inside have guns either. That's cool. But we don't search people. We trust and pray that you're going to come in the way you're supposed to be.
Now, what I'm saying to you is that you cannot trust and pray that everybody's gonna be right.
So you search
wait a minute,
people?
Wait a minute, listen to what I'm saying, brother.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that I did not. So I do not. You said yes, brother.
I didn't say anything,
people.
but we are about to wrap
Okay,
up.
hold up.
So
wait, hold up.
let's get this
So
point
what
out
I-
so we can know where
okay,
people can go to
listen.
your churches
Wait.
and mosques.
So what I'm saying
Without
to you,
being searched for
no,
money.
no. What I'm saying to you is this. No, I didn't say be searched. That's not what I'm saying.
But they would have to.
Wait a minute, let me finish.
That's my brother. I love my brother.
Let's sit down with other pastors and imams
Yes.
on how can we secure our churches and our mosques and our temples in the Jewish community
Yes.
better.
You know they'll have heat.
Right, wait a minute. Better. How we can secure that they don't have access to get in the building. That's what our conversation needs to be.
Right.
Because right now, I'm going to tell you right now, if I know there's a deacon or that there's somebody in there that got a gun, and that deacon might have a problem with me, I might say something that he don't like.
Right.
That changes the game, bro.
Yes,
So we're gonna
absolutely.
we do have to unfortunately cut,
You're
but
right.
again, once we move over to the evenings in 2 weeks, we're gonna be going 2 hours. We're good.
Yes.
But I just wanted to wrap it up with the fact that I appreciate both of you for talking about how important it is to cultivate the people.
Yes.
To deal with the mental health, to deal with unemployment. It's not just about this message you're getting across, right? And yes, we do need to secure our houses, whether it's outside or inside. I don't believe it's taken away from God at all.
Right.
Real quick, if you can, Hassan, where can we go for Juma?
We are at the Ashura Islamic Center. It's at 105 Sanford Street in Hamden, Connecticut.
All right, and Pastor Lewis for Sunday service.
Christ Chapel New Testament Church, 220 Dixwell Avenue.
All right.
Sundays at 11.
Thank you all for coming through. It's 94.3 WYBC. This is the Electric Drum.
Yes.